It is 43 days to the 2023 elections, one of the most anticipated events that will produce a new set of leaders that will govern Nigerians for the next 4 years. With campaigns heavily underway, there are talks about some political parties coming together to join forces in order to get more supporters to win the election. Although the major three political parties are the APC, PDP, and the LP, and all are campaigning to get the highest votes, it still remains a debate as to who would align together to win the highest political office. We have joining us in the studio the State Organizing Secretary of the APC Lagos State Chapter, Ayodele Adewale. It's nice to have you join us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome.
Happy New Year.
Great. Happy New Year. Yeah, that's true. And the Organizing Secretary, Labour Party, Surulere Local Government, Nse Abasi Ekanem is here as well. It's nice to have you join us this morning.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year too. Welcome.
Very good, very good.
Right. Now, just days ago, we heard that the APC presidential candidates, there were moves to align with some other, other political parties as a way of galvanizing votes. Some saw that as a strategic move. Others said, well, it seemed like a desperate move to, because seeing that, okay, maybe you can't go this alone, so you're trying to see how you can get others on board and all of that. There has been different, reactions to that. I'd like to start with you on this for obvious reasons. Can you let us know how strategic that is or otherwise?
Well, it's a strategic move. We must appreciate that we're all Nigerians, regardless of the party that we belong to. We all want the best for Nigeria, and in attaining this best, we should carry one another along. And if other parties are ready to come on board on the APC vessel, so be it. As long as our program aligns and it's sync into the program of the APC that Ashwaju is carrying very, very high and is selling all across the country, I believe that there's a big room for any party as long as you're going to conform with the dictates and doctrine of the APC.
Mm. All right. Now, there is also a permutation that the NNPP, as far as the standing right now is concerned, they have said several times that they are ready to do anything to ensure democracy moves on, and they are contesting to win the election. However, some people are seeing that there could be a possibility of them two going into an alliance with the Labour Party, for instance. Of course, it is just permutation people are trying to put together to see the possibilities and so on. What do you make of that?
Well, I will begin by saying that it's quite interesting that a party that was seen a few months ago as one without structure and without the capacity to win election is now a formidable threat to other establishments, the other established parties. Yes, with regards to our alignment with other political parties, I could remember that sometime last year, there was this alignment with 7 political parties that came together and said, look, we need to make a third force. Little did we know that the third force will become the first force. Interesting. Yes, we are still having talks. We are still opening our rooms for political parties to come. Because right now, you and I know that Labour Party is seen as the new bride, as the preferred bride. And so everybody's coming to the Labour Party. Well, unlike other parties that are going out in desperation, looking for alignment, because when they thought they could just win an election, they've now seen that their choice of a Muslim ticket is hitting back at them. Because you cannot disregard the Christian, which form almost 50% of the population, and expect to win an election in a country like Nigeria. Now they have learned their lesson. They are running around scouting for alliances. But we are opening our doors. They are coming. But we are accepting them based on our terms because our purpose is to create a new Nigeria. And so if your intent of coming to meet us is a bad one, then we don't accept that. NNPP is coming, PRP is coming, SDP is coming. A lot of political parties are knocking at our doors, and we are considering them very, very meticulously. And of course, we will welcome as many as have the interest of Nigerians at heart, because what is at the front burner for us is the interest of Nigeria to birth a new Nigeria. So any political party that has this as their tenet, we are welcoming them to our great family.
All right. Now, I'd like you to talk about this Muslim ticket. It became a very strong debate late last year, and a lot of Nigerians reacted to it, and some reacted, in fact, even by leaving the political party in the APC, precisely in this case. Others have said that, you see, there has been a lot of experiments in the past that we have seen that Nigerians, whether Christians or Muslims, whether North, South, whether Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba, whatever the thing is, we have all come to stay, where some people see the Muslim ticket now as a litmus test towards ensuring that we demystify some of the, biases that we have in our nation. But others don't feel the same way, like he has mentioned. But talk to us, because this concerns your political party.
We must understand that religiosity will not solve our problems. Nigeria is confronted by that situation in the economy and so many other regards. I'm a Christian. I'm a born-again Christian. We've seen Christian, Muslim come to lead this country, and a lot of them have never had a solution to solving this problem. We've seen the PDP era cascade till now, and they've never really had the capacity to solving the problem. So religiosity is not the solution to solve our problem. What we need now is capacity. People who can walk the talk, people who have walked the talk, people who have created something from nothing. And I keep referring to Asiwaju Bola Tinubu's excellence when he was governor of Lagos. Remember that Lagos had a very shaky economy when he came in, and he was able to strengthen it to what has attracted a lot of people to come and invest in Lagos. You also saw the Atlantic, the way the Atlantic tried to take over the whole of the Victoria Island. This was a man that used his political capital to attract investors, to see the opportunity in that problem, and they have turned it, to prosperity, and it has increased the IGR of Lagos. And if you want to dovetail it to what happened in Anambra during the era of the Peter Obi governorship, you can see that he has no hounds of development inclination and rejigging the economy of that place to making the people see prosperity there. And of course, opening the water body up to the Atlantic, like the Gulf of Hormuz or the Panama Canal, that will attract big vessels to come there and do trade. Asiwaju ingenuity have also created the new depot that you have in Lagos. So the focus on the Apapa port is no longer there, and that depot will be commissioned by the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria this month. These are things that we're saying. Look at the energy sector. Asiwaju tried to bring on board Enron to create a sustainable energy source for Lagos. But again, the PDP bedeviled that and strangulated that ingenious program for coming up. But after then, Lagos still embarked on it. But again, we were reduced to making sure that we supply only public utilities with that energy source. But Asiwaju has promised that federal, state players in the energy industry will come on board to create energy for development in this country. So we need heads like that to come on board, the governance of this country. And of course, with accountability. These are things that will come upstream. Religion can achieve that for us. If you go to Dubai now, they are very religious, it's an Islamic affair. They have not based their civilization on religiosity. They've opened their economy to various beliefs to come in and improve their space. They've even moved away from hydrocarbon energy and resources. They're now using tourism and green energy to fasten and fast track their development and civilization. So don't let us follow some people's narrative and trajectory in order to take our focus off development. What we need now is development. Even a clergyman did say just recently that if an atheist comes to rule this country, as long as that person has what it takes, people should go ahead and vote for that person. But again, we have seen somebody that is detribalized, somebody that has a pastor as a wife, is very tolerant. I think we should just give it to him.
Okay. Ntiabasi, your presidential candidate, Peter Obi, has continually talked about the fact that this country needs to shift from a consumption-based economy to a productive-based economy, and that is the only time that we can begin to talk about the prosperity that Nigerians want to see. However, when you look at this issue, so many administrations in the past have, looked at the possibility of increasing production, so that they can strengthen the naira, so that, we can begin to earn foreign currency, but we don't seem to see that materialize. How do you think this is going to work out within his, if he wins the election within the time that he's going to be in office?
Well, thank you very much for that question. I would want to, first of all, correct him when he said that Peter Obi has not done anything in regards to development. While Bola Ahmed Tinubu's achievements have not been recorded in any NBS record, I stand to be corrected. If you have any of that data, please let me see it. The Nigerian Bureau of Statistics recorded that under Peter Obi's watch in Anambra State, unemployment dropped from 51% to 13%. No governor, dead or alive, has achieved that. When we talk about developing people, getting people into businesses, the person you should be looking at is somebody called Peter Gregory Obi. The Human Capital Index is always the measure of development in any community, whether in Nigeria or abroad. Peter Obi is one man that was able to raise the Human Capital Index and ensure that an average Anambrarian has something to do. In terms of entrepreneurship, we know how well Anambra is doing in terms of entrepreneurship. In fact, as I speak to you now, Anambra is the entrepreneurship capital of Nigeria. But let's not go into that. Let's look at how he intends to develop and ensure that we move from consumption to production. Peter Obi is one man that keeps telling you that the vast land in the north is the new oil of Nigeria. Unfortunately, other political parties are still banking on the oil. But that is not sustainable. The oil, everywhere in the world, we are told that fossil fuels are not sustainable. What is sustainable are things like land and technology. It is only Peter Gregory Obi that has said that he wants to leapfrog Nigeria into the fourth industrial revolution. We cannot be operating in a civilized, in a digital economy, in a 5G economy, and still think like those in a 2G economy. We want to ensure that we equip our youth with the skills that they need, to meet up and compete favorably with their counterparts abroad. In order to stop the consumption, which we are currently doing, you see, some places in Nigeria, some places like Niger State, have even larger land sizes than Israel and Netherlands put together. But Niger State cannot feed itself. Why? Because the government of Niger State has abandoned the asset they have, the arable land, the productive land, and each month runs to Abuja to collect monthly remuneration. That is not going to happen under Peter Obi. Peter Obi believes that we can invest in this land, invest in farmers, invest in improved seedlings, improve agricultural products so that we can rejuvenate our economy. The only way we can ensure this is to ensure that our economy is stabilized, is to make sure that we export. A state like Taraba State can produce enough food to feed Nigeria and to export. But for this to happen, we need to ensure that we engage all the stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders? we have the Bank of Infrastructure, we have the Bank of Agriculture, we have the the Central Bank of Nigeria. If we bring all these banks together and say, look, we want to invest in agriculture, we want to tap into the resource that we have, the sustainable resource that we have, we need to invest money in our farmers, in farm produce, mechanized agriculture. We can feed this country and export a lot into the world. Apart from that, a country like Netherlands, what is their mainstay of their economy? Intellectual capacity. Netherlands exports intellectuals and they bring in foreign returns to the country. That is what the Peter Obi administration wants to do. We want to train our young people. We want to let them understand that there is dignity in labor, that if they learn and acquire requisite skill, they can go to other countries of the world, make money, and repatriate these funds to boost our economy. That is what we want to do. And let me give an example of what Peter Obi did in Anambra State. Under Peter Obi's watch, Peter Obi is the only governor in this country, dead or alive, that imported over 30,000 computers. What was he doing this for? He wanted to build the skills of secondary school, not university, secondary school students with ICT skills, which is one of the things that is selling now. We know that any solution in the world of today without ICT is dead on arrival. Peter Obi believed that tapping them young, holding them young, catching them young is very important. And that is why he ensured that students in secondary school in Anambra State have requisite ICT skills so that they can take up jobs, international jobs, and then repatriate the funds to burgeon the economy. So in every regard, Peter Obi looks at how we can develop the economy away from fossil fuels by ensuring that we boost human capital, we boost agricultural production, and we leapfrog the country into the fourth industrial revolution. And he has a fantastic plan towards achieving that. And in all his campaign, he keeps mentioning that he wants to, first of all, unite Nigeria, secure Nigeria, and create an enabling environment for investors to come in and invest in our country.
Okay.
That is what he wants.
All right. When it comes to computers for students in secondary school, I think that was also done in Osun State under...
now I'm talking about the quantity, 30,000 pieces.
Yes.
To cover all the schools.
Yes, I think Governor Rigbeshola, under his, he has this Okboimo, they call it Okboimo, I think. Did I pronounce it well?
Yeah.
Exactly. The computers for secondary schools is part of what they also did there. But it's fine. Now, at this time where Nigeria is at a stage where people are looking forward to a major leap, one would say, what kind of a president do Nigerians need at a time like this? We've done a lot of experimentations in the past, but Nigerians still, maybe in the past, from 1999 to 2003 to 2007, 2011, 2015, 2019, there's still something Nigerians are looking forward to in the kind of president that they want. I'll need you to answer this question, but let's go on a very short break to take some messages, and then we come back. You're watching TVC Breakfast. Stay with us. You're watching TVC Breakfast, and on this segment, we're looking at various, issues in politics, especially with all the alignments going on and some of the programs and projects that the political parties and their candidates are talking about implementing as we build up to the elections. And in the studio, I have the State Organizing Secretary of the APC, Lagos State Chapter, Ayodele Adewale, here, as well as the Organizing Secretary, Labour Party, Surulere Chapter, Ntiabasi Ekanem, here in the studio. We've been looking at some of the issues around the political parties, their candidates and their programs and what they're saying. Now, before we went on break, I was asking that Nigerians have experimented leadership strategies from different administration to another since 1999 up until now. They still are not satisfied yet with the kind of, from the promises to the execution to the completion of whatever programs that all the presidents and administrations have implemented. What kind of president do you think Nigerians are looking for at this time?
Nigeria needs a focus-driven president, someone who can create something from nothing, someone who has the political capital to attract investment and investors. You see, Nigeria has been going on a boring, trying to raise funds and all of that. You must agree with me that if you have someone that can bring in like minds into the economy to bring the fund without borrowing. This is the kind of person you want. You need someone that has the strong will to go through a rock in order to achieve a purpose. And that man is Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He has done it severally. As a young man trying to reach the height, very brilliant guy, he won scholarship for him to go to school. And aside from that, he started from the private sector. We need a president that have a private sector mindset, not just a public sector mindset. We have to create a hybrid of the private and the public in order to move us forward. I was amazed the way you looked at him, in that kind of amazement when he was talking about the achievement of Mr. Peter Obi, especially in this behemoth project of 30,000 computers that was imported to Anambra in order to rejig and bring the people, the Anambarians, to technology with just 30,000 computers. Those are projects of local government in Lagos. The state government under Asiwaju did outperform that to the extent that it created an oracle system in order to take away corruption from the public sector. It is not far-fetched if you want to see development. As claimed by him in Anambra State, I think we should have been seeing a lot of human drift. A lot of people going to Anambra to see greener pasture, as against over 1 million people coming to Lagos daily seeking greener pastures. I think those are visible indices to measure growth. And of course, to also measure growth, you look at infrastructure. What is the level of infrastructural provision in Anambra State under the 8 years of Peter Obi compared to the 8 years of Asiwaju? Asiwaju was able to create infrastructure to the extent that he also created a free trade zone that even attracted the biggest refinery in the whole of Africa and one of the biggest in the world. That is the Dangote refinery that will come upstream right now. And of course, the biggest fertilizer company. I'm sure Dangote saw Anambra before coming down to Lagos. You should have seen the opportunity there before coming down to Lagos. And likewise, so many other companies that have done so in Lagos. Anambra is not landlocked. It has a water body to improve on their economy. Mr. Obi did not see any opportunity in that. But Asiwaju saw several opportunities to have created over a 50-year plan that can be reviewed as we journey on. Asiwaju even went further to pay for WAEC fees for everybody in Lagos, regardless of where you have come from. Asiwaju ensured that local government elections were conducted. It's on record that Mr. Obi is not democratic. He never conducted any local government election in the 8 years of his administration. Is that the kind of person that you want in Nigeria? A man that has no respect for the rule of law and the sovereignty of the Anambarian people. Look, Anambra is very blessed in terms of human being. When you go to Nnewi, Nnewi has the bigger catchment of billionaires all over the world. Yeah. Why couldn't Peter Obi tap into that to call for an economic summit, bring the Anambarians together in order to open up their economy and give them incentive? That is what Asiwaju have gone to do in his campaign in Enugu, telling them that he's going to build their local capacity. He's going to build what they have there. And he's also negotiating the coal for renewable energy with the West, that if you want us to go fully green, then you must give us incentive here in Nigeria in order to improve our economy. We should just stop coming here to throw index, throw what cannot be verified, telling us this study gave this study gave that. I'm a scientist. So whatever you want to show me or tell me must come with proven fact. And the fact is that even the Anambra, he lives in Surulere. Why is he not living in Oka? It shows you that there are more opportunities here in Lagos because Asiwaju have ensured that he kept on with the development starting from Mobolaji Johnson, all the way down to Jack Conde, all the way down to Otedola, and the various people that have governed Lagos, and making sure that We don't have a nosedive of development. Look, we should stop playing politics with this issue. We need development. We need to improve our space. Development is not Stevie Wonder. You see clearly. You see clearly. So what we have in Lagos should be improved on in Nigeria, and by the grace of God, when Ashwaju gets in, we're going to see cascade beyond what we have.
All right, Mr. Abasi, the point there is right now, I'd like you to respond to that because he has said that, well, Anambra hasn't really shown the kind of transformation from what he has said, but you think otherwise. So let's hear you.
I'm laughing because when somebody compares a state to a former federal capital for several years, it shows how empty that person is. Lagos was a federal capital for several years, and you are comparing that to Anambra, that is a mere state. Lagos should be comparing itself with places like Dubai, places like Qatar,
all right,
not a place like Anambra State.
However, let's mind our language so that we don't.
No. Let me put this. But it's so appalling that somebody is sitting down here and comparing Lagos, a federal capital, for several years with a state. Come on, let's see. Politics aside, let's be reasonable, please. Now let me put it this way. I haven't addressed that. When Peter Obi came into government, let's look at the things that happened. Do we remember that it was in a place called Anambra State that a sitting governor was kidnapped? Are we aware? The height of insecurity in Anambra State was second to none. But in 2014, I quote a newspaper of 2014, that the Inspector General of Police, Mohammed, said that in Anambra State, over the past 5 years, under Peter Obi's watch, there has not been a single armed robbery in Anambra State. No governor dead or alive has received that record. I stand to be corrected. So you see this insecurity that we are talking about in the country, I can assure you that Nigeria needs a person like Peter Obi to implement strategic security plans to ensure that we rip Nigeria off hooligans, off kidnappers, off bandits, off terrorists. That is what we need now. We need somebody that can unite the country, that will not say Emi Lokon, but will say our Lokon, Nigeria Lokon. It is Nigeria's turn, not anybody's turn. That is the person we need. We need somebody that will be able to transform this country when it comes to, human capital development. In Lagos, yesterday I was moving around, so I saw a known hooligan, a known tout, somebody called Schoolboy, with a brand new Mercedes Jeep. In Lagos, let me tell you something. Hooliganism has been promoted in Lagos to the extent that a known tout in Lagos, most of us know him, has sent his children are schooling abroad because he can make a lot of money from hooliganism in Lagos. You can't find that in Anambra State. The person called Evans, the so-called Evans that you know, that was terrorizing people in Lagos and even kidnapped a senior colleague of mine, was sent out of Anambra State, and in his confessional statement, he said that he ran away from Anambra State because of the security infrastructure that Peter Obi put in place. When we talk about education, we want to talk about somebody who lifted Anambra from number 26 to number 1, according to WAEC and NECO. There is no governor dead or alive that has achieved that. And you are talking about the person that we need in the country, a country where the educational infrastructure has crumbled, a country where the economy has crumbled, a country where the rule of, when we talk about Anambra State, the governor not election held in Anambra State under Peter Obi's watch. It is on record that Peter Obi, when he was about to leave governance, organized election for local government, and the reason is clear. We know the altercation that happened between the state electoral commissioner, who are the ones in charge of local government elections, and because there was a standing order by the court, it's on record that there was a standing order by the court. That is why Peter Obi could not organize elections. This is a man that has regard for the rule of law. This is a man that is compassionate. We need a compassionate leader, a man that was going on campaign. But he said, no, I cannot continue to campaign while Nigerians are dying in the flood. He stopped all the presidential candidates. It's on record that Peter Obi called on other presidents. I said, let us visit these people first before we continue our campaign. This is a man that spent his Christmas, that spent his New Year in IDP camps. This is a man that identified with the downtrodden. That is the president we need. We have had an 8 year of a man that lost complete touch of reality with Nigerians. We are now going to have a man that is compassionate, that feels the pains of Nigeria, and that has tangible plans to take Nigeria from the suffering that we are, from the insecurity that we are, from the disunity that we are, to a country that we all can be proud to call ourselves Nigerians.
All right. Comrade, of course, I would like you to react to that. But after reacting to that, I would like you to talk about the issue of the increase in the number of voter registration. Now, in 2019, we saw the total number of about 84 million people who registered. Now, there are about 93 million people who registered. And I wonder how that is going to change the dynamics, because a lot of people are passionate about what is going to go on or what is going on right now.
Well, it is said that by their fruits you shall know them. And history is also very intricate and very, very important. In 1975, the Murtala Mohammed administration did plan to move the federal capital away from Lagos to Abuja. And they did mention that Lagos would be given a special status. And when President Babangida did implement that movement, the special status was never given to Lagos. So Lagos did not only inherit a very pittance economy under the military, it also inherited all the infrastructures that have gone in decay and how to enliven them, rehabilitate them. So whatever Lagos got was not only going for the development of other areas, but again to maintain federal infrastructure. So you can see that Asiwaju was very ingenious to maintain federal infrastructure, at the same time maintaining the programs that he as a state governor for the state government, for the people of Lagos did have. And I think we should give a thumbs up for that ingenuity and management. Until date, Lagos is still asking for those funds that have been expended on those infrastructures. These are things that Asiwaju has in him that is taken to the federal on how to manage resources. And picking from what he has said, yes, Lagos is opportune to have been a federal capital, but again, the enormous pressure on it is still there. If people have decided to stay in their states, then Lagos can manage its population. But again, our constitution does not allow for border control. That is why a country like UK did go out of Brexit, because the population was overburdening its budget, and they could not continue that way. If we are to achieve border control in Lagos, I can tell you that overnight, Lagos can get to where he has talked about. But again, we are not ready to drive away our brothers and sisters. We are ready to accommodate them, even if their governor have not performed in their state, like Anambra State. Lagos will continue to accommodate its brothers and sisters from all over. And talking about the increase in the INEC registration and all of that, it's a wonderful thing that the youth are taking charge of their destiny. And Asiwaju is someone that I've always worked with the youth. I'm a case study. I was a student leader while I was on campus. I graduated and started working with Asiwaju first. I worked along with him with Olusegun Mayegun Red Rum then. And at the same time, I was working with Chief Anthony Enaoro, CFR, as his mobilization and liaison officer for PRONACO, and with Dr. Beko Ransom Kuti as secretary of the June 12 coalition, and with Professor Wale Soyinka at the Citizens Forum as his secretary. Asiwaju allowed for that. And many a time, as student leader, we will meet with him, engage with him, even see within his inner circle brilliant youths. And He also supported my aspiration to become the chairman of a local government at 33 years of age. We've never had that in the country. And he opened the space for more youth involvement, especially in the House of Assembly and in the National Assembly. Today, you come to local government in Lagos, and you find out that about 42% or 53% of them came in as youth, and they've done brilliantly, very well. He has also said in his cabinet, when he swore in as president, he's going to allow for about 37% of youth from the age of 50 downward to 35 downward to come in as ministers, ministers for state, head of agencies, and stop being PAs to politicians. And he's also supporting a lot of youth that intend to contest. And in the private sector also, he has encouraged so many people like that. We need new hands to come on the plow to move this country forward. And I will not go with vulgar words like he had just done. I believe that his energy was cascaded by the fact that nothing had been done in Anambra State to keep people there, so that when we are moving to various states, we're just going there not seeking for job, but again for tourism and investment, not seeking for job. There's a difference between you taking investment to other climb and other corners than taking your certificate and begging for jobs. So that is why I'm saying that let's leave politics out of this. As young people, we must ensure that whoever we vote into office does the right thing. I'm even happy that he attested to it, that at the twilight of leaving office, Mr. Peter Obi attempted to conduct local government elections.
He did.
At the twilight.
He did.
Yes, when he was leaving.
He did.
When he was leaving office. So what happened in his first term of 4 years? No local government election. It was when he was leaving office, and I think such a person should be put on trial for violating the sacrilege of the Nigerian Constitution that gives powers to local government to exist. And he should account for all the monies that came from the federal government to local government that was not spent, or that were ill spent, or that was mismanaged.
All right, Mr. Abasi, you certainly will respond to that, but we don't have all the time right now, but some persons have said that this campaigns, from the permutation and what everybody's seeing, that we're not seeing the issue-based campaign as much as the tit-for-tat between candidates, either at the presidential level or at the state level or even at the senatorial or whatever level as the case may be. Talk to us in that regard briefly. We just have 1 more minute.
Okay, very good. If we want to objectively assess the three frontline presidential candidates in terms of their interaction with the media, with the people, expounding their ideas, I think Peter Gregory will be top of that chart. There, of course, unfortunately, some other presidential candidate will not go to the media because they may not know whether it's blah, blah, blue, blue, or it is roasted corn or whatever they would say. But that's a discussion for another day. Mr. Peter Obi has always been on the issues. Unlike some people that will say, Obi, like a drunk or somebody that is cheap on high drugs, high on cheap drugs. But what I want us to know is that Peter Obi keeps saying that he is good. The vast land in the north, these are issues. The poverty in the northern part, northern Nigeria, by the way, by statistics, is the poverty capital of the world. Northern Nigeria is the highest place in the world with the highest number of out-of-school children. This is where Peter Obi is speaking to. He's saying, I am going to convert those lands in the north to the new oil of Nigeria. These are the issues. Peter Obi talked about security, securing and uniting Nigeria. These are the issues. Peter Obi talked about the fourth industrial revolution. Nigeria is low behind. We need to move into the next phase of industrial revolution, which is the fourth industrial revolution in places like Qatar, like UK and US. These are the things that Peter Obi is talking about. Peter Obi is talking about education. These are the issues. Peter Obi, it has never been on record. You can quote me anyway where Peter Obi goes around in his campaign mentioning anybody's name. Peter Obi has always been on the issue, and he has always said that if given the opportunity to lead this country, he will ensure that every Nigerian is proud of their country. Nigerians abroad will come back and invest in our country. So what we called the brain drain before will become the brain gain. Because Peter Obi believes that human capital development is the bedrock of societal development. And that is where he stands in all his conversations, across all his campaigns, everywhere and anywhere.
Okay, we have to leave it here because of want of time. But I must thank both of you for your insights and everything that we have gotten here today. However, the viewer at home will certainly look at some of the things you've talked about, and they will make their choices based on how they want it. But I assure that as we build up to the election, there will be time for us to meet again and talk about some of these things. Thank you very much, Nsiabase Kenem, the Organizing Secretary, Labour Party, Surulere.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. And Adele Adewale, Organizing Secretary, Lagos State APC. Thank you very much for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.